I had another conversation with a friend of mine, Jonathan B, who comes from that startup world, tech startups, but he's now doing this project on the classics of the Western canon. And we talked a lot about heroes. We talked about this text that Rousseau wrote about heroism. And, for Rousseau, who was very influential on the American founders, French Revolution, et cetera, et cetera. For Rousseau, and he was a Plutarch nut too. I mean, a super Plutarch nut, by the way. So check out that episode. But for Rousseau, the hero of the Plutarchian mold, of the present mold, distinguishes himself by this thing he calls strength of soul, which is, it's not virtue. It's this determination to see your will affected. It's not even the same thing as Nietzsche's will to power. And the hero can be a kind of deeply problematic figure. They're kind of out for their own glory, but they understand that the way to eternal glory is benefiting the community. And you need heroes like that who are not like what Rousseau calls the citizen. Citizens need virtue. Heroes need strength of soul, but citizens need heroes to inspire them to virtue. And there's a kind of, I think it's a very nuanced picture. And, in a lot of ways, I think that tech founders are like that. Like if you look, what do all the young people want to be today? The young men, at least. A lot of them want to be tech founders. Some of them want to be.
I think a lot of them want to sit on home on their couch and watch YouTube, but I don't know about that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you got to look for where the high agency people are going.
Sure.
And but this is a real problem. This is a huge problem for the state. Why is it that the political life doesn't attract those kind of people? It needs to, if we're going to have a healthy state. And I think part of the problem is we have stripped the educational formation of our future leaders of the good stuff, which is the heroic men of Greco-Roman antiquity. And, there's a whole tradition that builds off of this. Like, statesmanship is founded on what the Greeks would call moral philosophy, which is fortifying yourself with examples, critically analyzing virtue and vice, how these great men succeeded, and understanding the whole of human nature. There's an education. Now it's like this kind of McKinsey managerial, presentations and spreadsheets. That's what's seen as like the foundation of competence. And you need experience. You need to know how to work a spreadsheet for sure. But that's not going to get you these great high agency these like Lee Kuan Yew kind of leaders for the future.
And I think it's the biggest thing missing in our society. I think if we fix this, we fix so many of our problems, because I think it gets back to, we need leaders like this. We need people that take responsibility. We need people that take risks and are okay with, they talk about Caesar crossing the Rubicon saying the die is cast, because he was taking the biggest risk that could ever happen for him. He could win it all or he could lose it all. And we don't have enough people like that in society nowadays. And I think it's the thing that's missing. And I think the way we get it back is a lot of the work that you're doing out there with your podcast, which is Cost of Glory, and a lot of what you're doing also on X as well. So where can people follow you, Alex, and where can people get connected to your work, man?
Yeah, thank you. Costofglory.com is my website. Cost of Glory is available on all podcast players, Spotify, Apple, all the others. I'm also on YouTube. If you like to listen in that form, it's all audio mostly right now, though that might change in the near future. But and at Cost of Glory on X, and I try to post regularly. But just Google Cost of Glory, and you're likely to run into me.
Very cool. Alex Petkas, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And everybody, you definitely have to check out his podcast. He has an excellent podcast voice, which I think is very important for history podcasts. Those of my listeners out there that might, like myself, love Dan Carlin's show. Like, you have to have a good podcast voice for history. So Alex, thanks for hanging out with me today, man.
Very kind. Thanks a lot, Jeremy. It's great to talk.